There's something dangerous about certainty, especially when it comes wrapped in the language of health. For decades, we were told what to eat, what to avoid, what would keep us alive longer. Yet, when we look closely, when time finally has its say, we see that much of this wisdom has spoiled faster than fast, food oil left too long in the fryer. The tragedy isn't that we were misled. The tragedy is that we stopped questioning. And today, we begin to question again. We live in a time when knowledge moves faster than wisdom. In every generation, there are ideas that sound right, that feel right, that are repeated so often they begin to resemble truth. Health advice, especially, has worn this disguise many times. We once believed certain foods were inherently good or bad, that numbers on a scale told the story of our well-being, that the body could be tricked into balance through shortcuts. But when we look back with the benefit of hindsight, we discover that much of what we were told has aged poorly, worse than the oil in a fryer that has been used too many times. You see, human beings have a strange relationship with authority. When an idea is presented by a doctor, a scientist, or even a celebrity in a lab coat, it gains a kind of sacred weight. We stop questioning. We stop asking for proof. We accept. But the truth, like biology itself, is not static. It evolves. What was once sensible may later appear foolish. What was once new may soon be obsolete. The first step toward true health, then, is humility. We must learn to say, "We were wrong," and in that same breath ask, "What can we learn now?" There is also a deeper problem, our impatience. People want results faster than science can provide them. They want clear answers. Eat this, don't eat that. But nature resists simplicity. Health is not a slogan. It's a living conversation between your body, your environment, and time itself. Decades ago, experts urged us to eliminate fats entirely, unaware that doing so would push us toward sugars and refined carbohydrates that quietly wreaked havoc. For years, processed food was celebrated as progress, its shelf life mistaken for vitality. We even made dieting a temporary act of penance instead of a lifelong relationship with nourishment. These weren't malicious mistakes. They were human ones, born of enthusiasm, of the desire to make life better quickly. But in science, speed without accuracy is another form of ignorance. Time, however, is the great revealer. Just as we learned to see invisible viruses under a microscope, we are now learning to see the long-term effects of poor health guidance. Obesity, metabolic disorders, and mental health challenges are not the results of individual failure. They are the residue of a society that forgot to question the advice it once worshipped. The remedy begins with awareness. Every person must become a participant in their own health journey. To rely solely on institutions or advertisements is to hand away the very responsibility that evolution granted us the power to adapt. True health requires curiosity. It asks us to observe, to listen, to test, and to adjust. It asks us to remember that every generation must unlearn something it once believed. The goal is not to be flawless. It is to be willing. Willing to question, willing to evolve, willing to improve. That, ultimately, is what separates progress from habit. When we treat health not as a set of commandments, but as an ongoing experiment, we begin to honor both science and the human spirit. Time has a remarkable way of revealing truth. It moves patiently, indifferent to our opinions or trends, yet it has the final word on everything we believe. What once seemed wise and unquestionable eventually stands trial under its gaze. In health, this is perhaps truer than anywhere else. Advice that was once celebrated as progressive can, years later, appear careless or even dangerous. The human body, unlike technology or fashion, cannot be redesigned with each passing decade. It remembers. It carries the evidence of our choices. And in that quiet biological memory, time exposes what our optimism once overlooked. When we first encounter new knowledge, we often mistake novelty for progress. We assume that what is new must be better, that what is widely accepted must be true. But science, real science, requires patience. It asks us not just to discover, but to observe the unfolding consequences of discovery. Many of the health fads that swept across the last century were born from impatience. We wanted instant certainty, instant results, instant relief. We forgot that nature moves slowly, that the effects of what we eat, how we live, and what we believe about our bodies do not reveal themselves overnight. In my own work, I learned that time is not the enemy of progress. It is its partner. The results of an experiment are meaningless without endurance, without seeing what happens not only today, but in the years that follow. Yet much of the advice given to the public about health lacked that endurance. It was advice based on fragments of evidence, on isolated findings magnified into dogma. We declared victory too early, and people trusted us. They rearranged their diets, their habits, their hopes. And years later, when the damage became visible, it was too late for easy correction. We have seen this pattern repeatedly. Artificial ingredients, once hailed as modern miracles, later revealed hidden harms. Low, fat diets replaced one imbalance with another. Sedentary comfort replaced the natural movement our bodies evolved for. Each of these trends began as an attempt to simplify what was complex, to make life easier, healthier, more efficient. But health, in its truest sense, is not a convenience. It is a long conversation with time. You cannot rush it. You cannot deceive it. Time asks only one thing of us: honesty. It does not punish mistakes made in good faith, but it exposes those we refuse to reconsider. If we wish to live wisely, we must learn to revisit our beliefs the way a scientist revisits an old experiment, with humility, curiosity, and courage. We must accept that truth is not fixed. It ripens like fruit, revealing sweetness only after patience. The measure of any health advice, then, is not how popular it becomes, but how well it endures. Time will always tell us whether we have learned or merely repeated. If we listen carefully to its verdicts, we may finally begin to craft guidance worthy of the future and worthy of the human body's extraordinary trust in us. There comes a moment in every generation when we must stop waiting for others to take responsibility for our health and begin taking it ourselves. For too long, we have lived as passive recipients of advice, obedient followers of diets, trends, and slogans that promise transformation without understanding. We read headlines instead of research. We trust convenience more than consistency. And in doing so, we surrender one of the most sacred powers human beings possess, the ability to evolve consciously. True health does not arrive through instruction alone. It arrives through awareness, through the willingness to learn, unlearn, and rebuild. When I look back on the history of medicine, I see that every major advancement came not just from discovery, but from courage. The courage of individuals who refused to accept what was simply normal. Vaccines, sanitation, nutrition science. All of these began with people asking difficult questions and challenging comfortable assumptions. The same principle must now apply to how we live day to day. Health is no longer a matter of ignorance. It is a matter of choice. We have more information than any generation before us, yet many remain unhealthy, not because they lack access to truth, but because they lack the habit of responsibility. Responsibility is not blame. It is ownership. It means understanding that no doctor, diet, or device can sustain your body better than your own informed commitment can. It means observing how you feel, how you function, how your choices ripple through your days. It means questioning what you've been told when the results no longer serve you. Evolution, whether biological or personal, is not passive. It demands participation. We cannot expect health to improve while our habits remain unexamined. There is a deep irony in modern life. We have learned to outsource nearly everything: our food preparation, our exercise, our thinking about well-being, to institutions and industries that profit from our dependence. We call it progress, yet it often keeps us detached from the very processes that sustain life. To reclaim responsibility is not to reject science or expertise. It is to engage with it critically, to understand it, to apply it wisely. Science offers tools, not commandments. It opens doors, but we must choose to walk through them. Taking responsibility for one's health does not mean perfection. It means participation with integrity. It means being alert to your body's signals, understanding that health is not a fixed state, but a relationship that must be maintained. The food we eat, the rest we take, the thoughts we cultivate, all of these are votes we cast each day for the kind of future we wish to inhabit. Evolution gave us intelligence not merely to survive, but to direct our survival consciously. So, let us stop waiting for universal guidance that will never come. Let us stop blaming the past for the misinformation it spread. Let us instead stand in the present, with eyes open and minds awake, and take responsibility for the next chapter of our health story. For in doing so, we not only heal ourselves, we advance the human experiment itself. Health is not a destination that someone else can chart for you. It is a journey that demands awareness, humility, and courage. The advice of yesterday served its moment, but we are no longer living in that moment. So let us not cling to the comfort of old rules. Let us evolve beyond them. Because in the end, what determines your health is not the advice you were given. It's the wisdom you are willing to claim. The next chapter of human health will not be written by experts alone. It will be written by you.